What up, world? You already know what time it is. Boy, man, Mr. Dollars with the money. Never need to brag no more. So we ever do is give a toast to the real folks who done paved the way in the real way for us players to play and
Parlay that
parlay
game.
this great game that we got for y'all today. And
Yep.
it's 2026, and I already told y'all we up in the mix. It's your boy, man, Mizzle. This is
Mm-hmm.
the man, Mizzle Shizzle. And we up in the spizzle. And I got my right hand with me, as usual. WR in the building.
Salute, salute.
Salute to the real ones. To the real ones. I don't feel nothing that's happening, player.
You already know, man. Slow motion. But I'm in the place to be. Mac Mizzo Show.
You already know, man. We out here. We out here. So how's the weather out there, man? How's the temperature?
It's smooth. It's a little bit windy outside. I ain't gonna lie. There's a lot going on, but
It's
we're still,
windy,
you know, feet
but
planted, 10
what's
toes
yeah,
down.
exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
When the weather's getting better, right? So we're just taking it in stride. Huh?
Mm-hmm.
We'll take the win.
Over the snow any day, for sure.
So yeah, man. I did this live to let the people know that we gonna break it down here at the Mac Visual because you know what I'm saying.
Yep.
We've been breaking shit down from time way back. You know what I'm saying? From covering the whole Trump election to seeing the collusion that the government had to impeach him, and then after the impeachment, the way they were messing with the you know the whole election fraud type thing. You know.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
When I first, well, yo, they're messing with Trump's votes, you know? Trump had a significant amount of votes.
Mm-hmm.
And then the whole insurrection thing happened, right? Well, I'm looking at it like if Trump was on a trajectory of making money for the United States in his first term, but he wasn't doing it in the ways of such radical movements that he's doing now. But he got in the second term that he won it by a decisive margin, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he won it by a decisive margin. So everybody thought that after close review and careful consideration, they seen that the Democrats weren't really living up to what they were doing as in terms of bringing money and wealth and prosperity back to the economy.
Right. So basically, what
So
they're saying and doing is two different things.
yeah, exactly,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. So we broke all that down for y'all. Just to we saying that to say like two things could be right. He could have had all these votes. He could have run the, but he's also a puppet because we all know that the presidential is not elected; he's selected. You know what I'm saying? We all know this. Um,
Big facts. Message.
as, as far back as we could not know, it's been like that. If you go
Mm-hmm.
against the grain, you end up like John JFK or MLK for that matter. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So we know the distinction between imperialism and the democratic process,
Right.
and we're seeing it unfold right in front of our eyes. And we're asking ourselves, so who out of all these three superpowers, Russia, China, and the United States, who has
Mhm.
the more moral upper hand? And as far as I'm concerned, none of them do. You know what I'm saying? Who's really right?
Russia,
They all
China.
want a stake in the in taking over being the superpowers in the world, right?
Yep. 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 Naturally.
And if they don't do it militarily, they do it economically.
Right.
That's why China has invested in Venezuela to the tune of what was it, 90 or 60 billion dollars? So they're gonna want their money back, right? Or they're gonna want to deal with it on a level, you know.
Yeah.
So you ask, I mean, you see that they're making deals with Russia. Russia's always been in South America, you know. I remember back when I was in Trinidad and there was Russians in Trinidad, like, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Just chilling and walking around shopping, you know. They're like,
Yeah.
yeah, it is, you know. It's a communist country on the west coast, so you're gonna be near Venezuela and the surrounding countries, right? But they always had a stake in those countries. And you think you're like, oh, why do these guys all have stake? Because Venezuela is a poor country and has a lot of oil, the most in the world.
So
So
whoever has the most collateral
exactly
has
to
a
get
has,
to
has
get
the
dibs in,
uh,
which doesn't really make sense. If that's their land, their oil, let the people. You know what I'm
reap the
saying?
benefits of that.
Yeah. Why do we have to have an outside influence to come in and extract what they even they extract and you know give people
It's
money
it's
and
it's also the infrastructure of the whole
yeah,
process of doing
yeah,
it. It's probably because Venezuela doesn't have the infrastructure to really extract it and break down the oil and you know what I'm saying, like do all that stuff that has to get done. Like that's money, that's equipment, that's a lot of it's a lot.
hmm.
So they probably don't have all those resources to make that happen.
So in hindsight, I'm looking at it and I'm like, I don't know, man. I mean, this move that Trump did was a bold move, but militarily, it makes sense
Mhm.
on the United States part, you know. But morally, it's like, who really has the moral compass if they're all exploiting this tiny country
Right.
with the most oil? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're gonna listen to into a little press conference that the president did, but we're gonna see why it's such a complicated matter. You know, it's like a conundrum, and you have to keep in mind that they're always gonna show you what they want to show you on TV. They're never gonna show you
What it
both sides.
actually is. Yeah. They don't want us to know what the real deal is. You know what I'm saying? For sure, they're gonna dress it up a certain way. You know.
So listen, take heed, and we're gonna chop it up.
I never thought I'd live to see the day when a superpower is forced to do the one thing a superpower must never do, ask its rivals for help while pretending it doesn't need them. That moment has arrived. America is about to lose Venezuela, not through military defeat, not through economic sanctions that work, but through the systematic collapse of the very mechanisms that allowed it to project power in the first place. And the irony, the historical structural irony, is that this collapse is not happening because Venezuela is strong. It's happening because America has become dependent on a system it can no longer control. Let me be direct. What we are witnessing right now in Venezuela is not a regional crisis. It is not even primarily about oil. It is the visible crack in the foundation of American hegemony. And when you look closely at that crack, you see three names written in it: Beijing, Moscow, and Tehran. This is not morality. This is not ideology. This is the logic of survival playing out in real time. For 40 years, the United States maintained absolute control over Venezuela through a simple mechanism: the dollar. Venezuela needed dollars. Venezuela's currency was worthless. Venezuela's oil was priced in dollars. The United States controlled the global banking system through which those dollars flowed. Therefore, the United States controlled Venezuela. It was elegant. It was structural. It required no troops. It required no invasion. It required only that the rest of the world accept one fundamental truth: you cannot survive without access to the American financial system. Venezuela's government understood this. Every regional rival understood this. Every banker in London and Frankfurt understood that the power was not in the guns. The power was in the architecture. Then something shifted. In
Yep.
2023, the United States imposed its most severe sanctions package on Venezuela since the Trump administration. The goal was simple and explicit: suffocate the regime by cutting it off from dollar transactions, destroy its ability to sell oil, force a collapse, force a regime change. This had worked before. This had worked in Iran. This had worked in North Korea, or so American planners believe. But Venezuela did not collapse. Instead, something else happened. Something that reveals the deepest structural weakness of American power. Venezuela turned east, not in desperation, not as a last resort, but as a deliberate strategic choice, enabled by rivals who had spent the last decade preparing for exactly this moment. By late 2024, Venezuela was selling 70% of its crude oil to China, not at a discount, not under duress, but as part of a long-term partnership agreement. The oil was no longer priced primarily in dollars. It was priced in yuan. It was settled through Chinese banking channels. It was no longer subject to American financial weaponization. The United States had imposed sanctions designed to isolate Venezuela from the global economy. Instead, it had isolated itself from access to Venezuelan oil. This is not a small thing. This is not a regional setback. This is a fundamental reversal of how American power functions. And the fact that American policymakers are only now beginning to understand this is the most dangerous part of all. Let me explain why this happened, because it requires understanding something most American analysts refuse to accept. The United States does not have a strength problem in Venezuela. It has a structural problem that runs through the entire foundation of its global power. The American hegemon was built on three pillars. All three are now under stress. The first pillar is the petrodollar system. For 50 years, oil was priced exclusively in dollars. Every nation that wanted oil had to hold dollars. Every nation that held dollars had an incentive to maintain good relations with the United States. The system was self-reinforcing. The demand for dollars to buy oil created demand for American treasuries. The demand for American treasury bonds: our partner can freeze your assets at will. You diversify away from that superpower. This is structural. It cannot be reversed by a new American president. It cannot be reversed by a stronger military posture. It can only accelerate. And here's what this means for Ukraine. As American financial leverage weakens, American willingness to spend unlimited resources on foreign wars weakens too. The empire is becoming thirsty. It needs to preserve capital. It needs to preserve credibility. It needs to show that American backing still means something. You cannot do that by bleeding yourself dry in Eastern Europe. Let me trace the logic of how America got here. After the Cold War ended, the United States made a choice. It chose unipolarity. It chose to maintain military superiority everywhere. It chose to expand NATO. It chose to encircle Russia. It chose to treat China as a rising threat to be contained. These were not mistakes. They were the logical choices of a superpower trying to preserve its dominance. But dominance requires resources. So America began printing dollars to pay for military bases across the world, hundreds of them, thousands of troops, enormous defense budgets, wars in Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, weapons to Taiwan, Japan, South Korea, the Philippines. The bill became astronomical. And here is the trap. America could only pay this bill because the dollar was the global reserve currency, because every central bank in the world held American treasuries, because the petrodollar system forced oil producers to accept dollars. In other words, America was financing its own containment of rivals by borrowing from the world using its financial dominance. This is not sustainable. At some point, and we are reaching that point, the world realizes that lending to an empire that is simultaneously trying to contain you is not a profitable trade. So the world stops lending, or it lends less, or it demands higher interest rates. The American Treasury yield rises. The federal debt becomes harder to finance. And suddenly the empire has a choice: keep spending on military dominance or keep the financial system functioning. You cannot do both. This is the structural constraint that is now binding American policy. This is why
Yep.
in classical realist theory, there is a concept called relative power.
Yep.
It's not about absolute strength. It is about
Can't hear
strength
you.
relative to your competitor.
You can't hear me?
For 30 years, American relative power was overwhelming.
Can't
The
hear you.
American military was stronger than the next 10 militaries combined. The American economy was larger than the next.
Can't hear you. Big dog.
Includes India, Brazil, Indonesia, Nigeria, and dozens of others, is no longer automatically siding with America, because American dominance no longer guarantees their security. In fact, it guarantees their subordination. When you are a middle power, your rational choice is to align with the dominant power only if the dominant power can protect you from all threats. But when the dominant power is struggling to contain two rising powers simultaneously, and when the dominant power might use financial weapons against you, alignment becomes less attractive. So they hedge, they buy gold, they trade in local currencies, they deepen ties with China and Russia, they join BRICS, they build alternative payment systems. This is not ideological, it is strategic, it is rational. And what it means is every central bank in the world would hold dollar reserves. Those reserves would be parked in treasury bonds. The interest payments would be manageable because the dollar was essential. But when you weaponize the treasury bond system, when you freeze the assets of Russia, when you restrict Iran's access to the SWIFT system, when you threaten any nation that trades with your enemies, you create an incentive for every nation to reduce its dependence on dollar holding. Today, central banks around the world are diversifying away from dollar reserves into gold, into bilateral currency arrangements, into alternative payment systems. The more the United States relied on financial weaponization, the more rapid the exodus became. But the sanctions regime itself was supposed to be a tool of coercion. Isolate a nation, cut off its access to the global economy, force compliance. But every time the United States imposed sanctions, it demonstrated something crucial. The United States was willing to weaponize the system. And more importantly, it was possible to survive outside the system. Iran survived. North Korea survived. Russia adapted and found new trade partners. Venezuela discovered that China was willing to absorb its entire oil production. Each successful sanctions evasion proved to the next target that resistance was possible. This is not morality. This is not ideology. This is structural cause and effect. The tools that built the empire are now the noose tightening around its neck. Now let me explain what is actually happening in Venezuela right now and why China and Russia are allowing it to unfold the way it is. The United States expects that Venezuela will become unstable. The United States expects that instability will force a crisis. The United States expects that a crisis will create an opportunity for regime change. This is the American playbook. It worked in Iraq. It worked in Libya. It worked in Syria, partially. The assumption is that if you can create enough pressure, something breaks. But this assumes that rivals are passive. This assumes that rivals do not have their own strategic plans. This assumes that rivals cannot prepare alternatives. China has spent the last 15 years positioning itself as the non-ideological patron of resource-rich nations. It does not care about the internal politics of Venezuela. It does not care about democracy or human rights. It cares about one thing: access to oil at stable prices through predictable trade relationship. The United States, by contrast, has made it clear that it cares about all those things when it is convenient. It imposes sanctions on authoritarian regimes. It supports regime change operations. It demands democratic reforms. And then inevitably it retreats when it becomes too expensive. Venezuela's leadership understands this difference. It understands that a deal with China is a permanent deal. A deal with the United States is only a deal until American priorities shift. Russia's role is different, but equally structural. Russia is not in Venezuela to win. Russia is there to prevent the United States from winning. Every Russian military presence in Venezuela, every advisor, every weapon system, every demonstration of commitment serves a single purpose: to raise the cost of American intervention beyond what American society is willing to pay. This is not aggression. This is not imperialism. This is the rational response of a nation that understands that its survival depends on preventing American hegemony in its own neighborhood. Russia learned this lesson in the 1990s when the United States assumed Russia would simply accept American dominance. Russia decided that lesson would not be repeated. Iran's role is smaller but significant. Venezuela is a test case for Iranian survival strategy. Iran has been under American sanctions for 40 years. Iran has developed the expertise to navigate international commerce without relying on the dollar system. Iran is now sharing that expertise with Venezuela. Iran is demonstrating that there are ways to survive American coercion if you have partners willing to help. The critical insight here is this: none of these rivals are trying to overthrow American power in Venezuela. They are not trying to impose their own system. They are simply creating an alternative, and they are demonstrating that the alternative is viable. From America's perspective, this is a catastrophe because American power was always predicated on the belief that there was no alternative. What we are seeing in Venezuela is not an isolated event. It is a visible manifestation of a much deeper structural shift in global power. BRICS represents the most significant challenge to American hegemony since the end of the Cold War, and I want to be precise about why. BRICS is not an organization that is trying to overturn the existing system. It is an organization that is building an alternative to that system. In 2024, BRICS unveiled the new development bank's capacity to issue currency. This is not headline grabbing. This is not dramatic, but it is structurally decisive. It means that nations can now conduct large-scale infrastructure financing without relying on the dollar. It means that nations can trade with one another without routing transactions through the American banking system. The Shanghai Cooperation Organization has expanded significantly. It now includes nations that represent nearly a quarter of global GDP. More importantly, it includes every major energy producer in Eurasia, oil from Russia, natural gas from Central Asia, refined products from China. All of this can now be traded through bilateral arrangements that bypass the dollar entirely. Central banks are accumulating gold at historically high rates. This is not accidental. They are preparing for is no longer the universal reserve currency. They understand.
Yeah, we back at it. We back at it. Let's get it.
They
Okay,
are
okay. I thought they were
positioning
trying to
themselves.
throw some shade
And
over there.
Venezuela is simply the place
You know
where
that.
the
You know what they
shift
do.
becomes visible, because Venezuela is a test.
Listen,
Can
we're
a nation
still on the
survive
video.
American sanctions if it has access to alternative trade partners? The
Salute, my
answer
brother.
is yes. Can a major oil producer function outside the dollar system? The answer is yes. Can the international system function without American financial hegemony? The answer is yes. Each successful alternative demonstrates the viability of the next alternative. I want to define a term precisely because it is crucial to understanding what is happening. Imperial liquidation is not collapse. It is not defeat in war. It is not a dramatic moment where power suddenly vanishes. Imperial liquidation is the gradual process through which an empire loses the ability to unilaterally enforce its will. It happens when rivals no longer believe that resistance is futile. It happens when alternatives become available. It happens when the costs of maintaining dominance exceed the resources available to pay those costs. This is what is happening with Venezuela, and more broadly, this is what is happening to American hegemony. The critical moment comes when the empire is forced to negotiate from weakness rather than strength. This moment is approached. Within the next 5 to 10 years, the United States will face a choice it has not had to make since the 1930s. Accommodate rival powers as legitimate actors with spheres of influence, or attempt to maintain global dominance at costs that are unsustainable. Venezuela represents this choice in miniature. The United States can continue to impose sanctions, but those sanctions are no longer coercive. They are simply expressions of frustration. Venezuela has found alternative. The only way the United States could force Venezuela back into submission would be through military intervention. And military intervention is not possible without accepting losses in every other region where American power is contested. This is not a moral failing. This is not a policy error. This is structural. When you build an empire on financial leverage and rivals build alternatives at that financial system, the empire loses its primary tool of control. The irony, the deepest irony, is that American policymakers still believe they have options. They still believe that sanctions are working. They still believe that the sanctions regime is sustainable. They do not understand that every sanction imposed on Russia accelerated de-dollarization. Every restriction placed on Iran demonstrated that survival outside the American system was possible. Every threatened freeze of assets convinced every central bank in the world that the dollar was a liability, not an asset. The United States is not being defeated, it is being bypassed. And that is far more dangerous because you cannot respond to being bypassed with the same tools you use to defeat enemies. You can only respond by accepting that the world has changed Look at the trajectory of the British Empire. Britain maintained its global dominance for 2 centuries through financial leverage. The pound sterling was the world's reserve currency. London was the center of global finance. Nations that wanted access to credit, to trade, to stability, they needed to maintain good relations with Britain. And then Britain lost the ability to enforce that system, not through military defeat, not through a dramatic collapse, but through the slow realization by rival powers that alternatives were available. The dollar replaced the pound. America replaced Britain. The process took decades, but it was inevitable once the structural foundation began to crack. We are now watching America experience what Britain experienced a century ago. The only difference is that the transition is happening faster because the tools of financial surveillance and alternative payment systems are more sophisticated now. Instead of taking 70 years, the transition may take 20. This is not the end. It is the beginning of a new era. In Venezuela, China watches and calculates. In Venezuela, Russia acts and demonstrates. In Venezuela, Iran shares its expertise in sanctions evasion. And in Washington, policymakers believe they are still imposing costs on their enemies. They are not. They are simply accelerating the world's departure from a system they can no longer control. This is the logic of survival. This is the law of power politics. This is how empires liquidate their dominance, not through dramatic defeat, but through the slow realization that the tools of control have become ineffective. If you understand the structural forces I have outlined here, the fragility of the petrodollar, the viability of alternatives, the rational incentives driving de-dollarization, then you understand that what is happening in Venezuela is not an anomaly. It is the future. And the sooner American policymakers accept this, the sooner they can begin to navigate a world in which they are not omnipotent, but merely one great power among several.
See that? That's real life right there.
Mm.
They're not being defeated, they're being bypassed. So y'all keep thinking that people care about the American dollar like that. Nah, bro. They're not using US currency anymore. They're using whatever is clever. You know what I'm saying? Plus the way of doing business has accelerated over the years, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Can move more money around, do more things.
All this chaos leads to a larger question. What is happening to the world order? Is it being ripped apart?
So it just shows that it's not about morality, it's about control and dominance, you know? So when they make the case where they gotta arrest Maduro for drugs, how he was doing this and doing that, well then he gotta be taken into custody by the international courts, you know, not by the United States. So it's like they put up a puppet regime. Now they got him out of there, but they still can't. Like they're banking on the country to become unstable. You know, it's a lot. There's a lot that goes into it. It's a lot that goes into it, bro.
It's all
Even
about the almighty dollar. Everybody's trying to bring up the value of their own currency.
right, exactly. So it's like they're dividing the world into three. Like Trump wants to take over the West, right? The whole West, from sea to shining sea. And now he wants to take the Netherlands too. But he's saying if we don't take the Netherlands, then Russia and China is going to be there. But I don't see that happening because isn't China more on the Pacific? Why would they come back to the Netherlands? Which makes me think there's some more bullshit.
Right.
They just want Russia out of the Arctic. Well, how far are they going to be able to?
The president set, and we set that.
Шановні українці, українки, зараз тривають.
Well, let's check this out.
Mhm.
Staff, and
The president declares war
operation. I can't speak highly
on
enough of the
Venezuela.
chairman and his staff, and General Camilla and CENTCOM, what they've done to look around the corner, to pre-position, to understand how an operation like this comes together. The scope and scale of what occurred last night would take the breath away of almost any American if you had an opportunity to watch it in real time. And I think Tehran is certainly calculating the reality that planes flew from the middle of America in Missouri overnight, completely undetected over 3 of their most highly sensitive sites, and we were able to destroy nuclear capabilities. And our boys in those bombers are on their way home right now. We believe that'll have a clear psychological impact on how they view the future, and we certainly hope they take the path of negotiating peace. But I could not be more proud of how this building operated, of the precision, the sensitivity, and the professionalism of the troops involved, etc. I will take one more. We'll take one more question. Yes, right there.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Concerning the justification for these strikes, in March, the Office of the Director of National Intelligence released a threat assessment concluding, quote, Iran is not building a nuclear weapon, and Khomeini has not authorized the nuclear programs he suspended in 2003, unquote. So what new intelligence does the U.S. have since then that the Iranians have changed their position on nuclear weapons? And does this new intelligence come from U.S. sources and methods, or are we getting this information from other countries?
Grade Iran's nuclear program. And as the chairman of the Joint Chiefs will demonstrate, it was an incredible and overwhelming success. The order we received from our commander-in-chief was focused, it was powerful, and it was clear. We devastated the Iranian nuclear program. It's worth noting the operation did not target Iranian troops or the Iranian people. For the entirety of his time in office, President Trump has consistently stated for over 10 years that
No, they talk about Iran there. I want to get to where
With Marco Rubio set to meet his Danish counterpart in Washington next week, JD Vance.
Oh, nice place.
Yeah.
Okay.
The first
So
question,
what are you asking about Iran for? Oh, nice place.
yeah.
Okay.
The first
So
question,
what are you asking about Iran for?
well, if you can answer about Europe and what you think the Europeans should do for Ukraine, and then my second.
Well, look, Europe has been doing so much for Ukraine, but it hasn't been enough. And obviously, that I would say that President Putin is not afraid of Europe. He's afraid of the United States of America, is led by me. There's no fear of Europe. Europe's fallen behind, and Europe. Then JD said it very strongly. I don't know. It's took a lot of heat, but I didn't give him any heat. Europe is a different place. Europe is changing. Europe has got to get its act together. I love Europe. I guess I came from Europe, essentially. I had My roots are in Europe, but Europe is a different place. They have to get their act together. Now they said they have a great NATO leader, and they've gone up to 5% from 2% GDP. It's a big step. But they have to be very careful with their immigration policy, and they have to be very, because, you know, I will just say to be nice that there are certain places in Europe that are very important that are no longer recognizable. I'm being very nice. I'm being very diplomatic when I say that they are not recognizable, and they have to be careful on energy because they're putting windmills all over the place and losing a fortune. They're destroying their country. They're destroying the beautiful landscapes, the beautiful everything. They're doing. And by the way, in case you people don't know, I'm not much of a windmill person. I can proudly say, Doug, that we have not approved one windmill since I've been in office, and we're going to keep it that way. My goal is to not let any windmill be built. They're losers. They lose money. They destroy your landscape. They kill your birds. They're all made in China. And all you have to do is, just about all of the windmills are made in China, the structures. All you have to do is say to China, how many windmill areas do you have in China? So far, they're not able to find any. They use coal and they use oil and gas and some nuclear, not much, but they don't have windmills. They make them and sell them to suckers like Europe and suckers like the United States before. They are the worst form of energy, the most expensive form of energy, and in 8 years they're rotted out anyway. Go take a look at Palm Springs, California, and take a look at what that looks like. It looks like a junkyard of steel. So we don't approve, and I've told my people, we will not approve windmills. Maybe we get forced to do something because some stupid person in the Biden administration agreed to do something years ago. We will not approve any windmills in this country.
On Venezuela, is it ultimately more important to establish stability there or democracy?
Well, you're talking about maybe the same thing. I mean, you're talking about stability or democracy. I don't know. To me, it's almost the same thing. We want stability, but we do want democracy. Ultimately, it'll be democracy. Peter?
Policy question, President Trump, but I'm having a hard time seeing here. I see the American flag lapel pin. What is the other lapel pin?
Somebody gave me this. You know what that is? That's called the happy Trump. And consider the fact that I'm never happy. I'm never satisfied. I will never be satisfied until we make America great again, but we're getting pretty close, I'll tell you what. This is called the happy Trump. Somebody gave it to me, I put it on.
Thank you. And policy question. How much money are you thinking you need to get them on board with a possible U.S.
I'm not talking about money for Greenland yet. I might talk about that. But right now, we are going to do something on Greenland, whether they like it or not, because if we don't do it, Russia or China will take over Greenland, and we're not going to have Russia or China as a neighbor. Okay? I would like to make a deal, the easy way, but if we don't do it the easy way, we're going to do it the hard way. And by the way, I'm a fan of Denmark too. I have to tell you, and they've been very nice to me. I'm a big fan, but the fact that they had a boat land there 500 years ago doesn't mean that they own the land. Sure, we had lots of boats go there also, but we need that because if you take a look outside of Greenland right now, there are Russian destroyers, there are Chinese destroyers and bigger, there are Russian submarines all over the place.
What did he just say?
Russia or China occupy Greenland, and that's what they're going to do if we don't. So we're going to be doing something with Greenland, either the nice way or the more difficult way.
Just because there's a boat that landed in Greenland by Denmark 500 years ago, that means they don't own the land. Just because there's a boat that landed in the United States, that don't mean white folks own that land either. Let's keep it. Let's keep it a thou wow.
You see how they try to have a double standard with things?
Damn, huh? And he's gonna sit there and act like he's bringing like some type of stability to the world with democracy and all that, but it's bullshit.
Try to ignore history.
It's bullshit. Make America great again and all this bullshit. Like, come on now. Nobody's feeding
Hypocritical.
into that bullshit. Huh?
Yeah, hypocritical for sure.
You know? It's very hypocritical and it's pretty much insulting everybody in the world's intelligence. Like, you guys know that what you're doing is wrong. It's not correct. It's not morally structured, you know?
Yeah.
You're just mad that you can't have it your way, you know, anymore because people are seeing the bullshit. But then you got to look at it like, does China have the people of Venezuela's best interests at heart? No, they don't care about politics. They just care about the oil coming to their and whoever's in it. That's the messed up thing about it because a dictatorship means like a few families actually get the spoils of whatever, you know,
Yeah.
they're actually rich.
Reap the benefits off of the resources.
Yeah, so the average person is going to look at it like, yeah, I want a regime change. Yeah, I want democracy, but at what cost you're going to get that, you know?
And does it even make a difference?
Yeah, exactly. Is it going to change anything, huh?
Yeah.
Well, democracy would be more like free enterprise, you know? It wouldn't be, it would be people allowing people to be capitalists, you know? Instead of just everybody has the same thing type shit, you know? Which will create some entrepreneurship. But still, you know, it's gonna be like, are these people even ready for that type of thinking, you know? That type of way of life, you know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know. There's a lot of ways you could look at it. Because you don't want to be falling behind in the world, you know? The infrastructure of the way the world is working.
And where it's going right now is it's like a worldwide gentrification process.
Exactly.
Worldwide
That's
gentrification. The
that's
movement.
why I don't respect it, you know? I
Yeah.
can't.
Nah, cause you know what it is already. You know what I'm saying? You know what it is, man.
Um,
Hey,
They
do
say the
this.
sun that doesn't shed on the sun never sheds. No, the sun never sets on the British Empire. That was they're saying, you know.
Hmm.
So now the Americans want to take the same mantra, but it's like China and Russia, they're not going to go for it. They're going to continue to do what they do. Remember, these are both superpowers, eh? They're both communist countries.
Yeah.
Tell me how that is. The two other superpowers in the whole world are communist countries. One has the best military. The other has the most like
Technology.
technology and shit like that. So it's like you put that and that together. All America really has is Black folks in righteousness. Because
America's
honestly,
beer talk,
yeah, it's
beer
true.
talk. I mean, they have their army, they have the nuclear weapons, they have a little bit of bread, but
But they got a lot of bread. They got a lot of bread. They got a big army. I'm not saying they're slouches. They're not slouches in no sense of the word, but
where's the truth be told? If America continues to undermine China and Russia, they're gonna team up and blow America off the map. So I think it's just a matter of a couple more
What if I told you?
irrational decisions, and we'll see some real gentrification on a next level.
because think about it. I look at this whole thing and I'm like, you have two superpowers against one. But the one superpower is wielding its military might to where it's like they're gonna exhaust themselves, bro. They're gonna be stretched too thin, and China and Russia is just gonna come in on some. Nah, you guys can't do it. That bullshit over here. So you're gonna have to take a step back and reevaluate your whole shit. And I don't think they want to do that in the United States. I think they're going full speed ahead and try to take as much territory as they can. To the point where black folks are gonna wake up and be like, yo, well,
Fuck this
well,
place. I'm going back to Africa.
yeah, you know, I don't want my reparations check before I leave. And that's gonna be something still because you owe. Can't just go around messing with everybody in the world. You owe the people in your own backyard. You know what I'm saying? Before anything else.
Exactly.
And then you have the whole thing that's going down with the ice turning up.
Yeah, ICE is power tripping now.
So you have a problems in your own backyard. So you know you're not even in the moral authority to look at anything. But then they're gonna turn around and be like, yo, you could get jailed. You could get shot for speaking against the government in these dictator countries. We're still better than them, but no, it doesn't work like that. If you guys you have to practice what you preach. If you say you're a certain way, you can't be going around killing protesters and locking people up and treating them people like criminals because you think they're not from the country. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
you see, did you see the footage of the Minnesota woman that got killed by ICE?
Yeah, I see it.
It's a white woman.
Yeah.
I didn't even Jono, I thought it would be a different culture, but it's a white woman. So it's just like,
She was protesting in her car, you know?
yeah, standing up for her neighborhood, and then boom.
She put her car right there. She's like, yo, you guys, I don't want you guys coming in here
Yeah, exactly.
messing with the people, you know?
Right.
And her last name was Good.
Crazy.
If that's not a coincidence, I don't know what I don't know what to tell y'all, bro. Her last name was Good, y'all, and she was a white woman. Think about that. Not everybody's racist. Not everybody's on the bullshit. Not everybody wants to see the bullshit. And it brings me to a time to John Brown, you know? He was a white abolitionist. He used to hide the slaves and stuff like that, you know? Like, yo, these white folks will kill their own kind if they see you trying to stand up for somebody else. Probably quicker than they'll kill you. That's messed up.
But that's how the country's gonna implode. It's gonna burn from the inside out because the people are not gonna stand for it. You know? Okay, so you're trying to make a mark in the whole territory, the whole Western hemisphere. You try to make your mark. Oh, so you want to strong arm natural resources and come up with all these different excuses to go and invade all these smaller, less equipped countries. Try to leverage whatever you can from them. But ultimately, the people, like the heart of America, the people in America that live in America that are like, hardworking folks, they're not really about that. So you're gonna get a bunch of disgruntled people in your own country, and it is what it is, man. It's a recipe for disaster, to say the least.
Yep. And I'm glad that you see it too. Because it don't make no sense, bro. They make it seem like everybody that's seeing the bullshit is delusional, or like you know, it could never be the way we're looking at it because she, it's always been like this, you know. Like history could repeat itself.
Yeah, big facts. That's exactly what's happening. And they're gonna try and dress it up a certain way, but no, people are too hip
Remember, the
to.
British Empire fell, and the American Empire is gonna fall too.
Right.
And every empire that's not righteous under God, you know. And that's how I look at it. I ain't taking nothing away from the contributions that real Americans have done to the world.
Hmm. Right. Exactly.
But you're not gonna do that. It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. And that's what makes me sick with this whole U.S. imperialism bullshit. Well, let's say they do take over the whole world, right?
Yeah.
I bet you black folks will still won't get the reparations or still be on some bullshit where we're at the lower end of the totem pole. Can you imagine that?
It's gonna be an implosion, man. I'm telling you, people are not gonna take
People ain't taking the bullshit no more. And people are getting
nah.
smarter. They're getting more educated. They're reading out, writing, researching things more. Information is coming. There's a lot of
Exactly.
misinformation in there, but once you have common sense and know how, and you look at it, think from a broader perspective of equality, because why wouldn't you, unless you have a hidden agenda or something like
Unless you're stuck under a rock somewhere in
that.
freaking
Timbuktu.
no man's land, bro. It's
Yeah,
gonna eh, even most of those people are coming to terms with the madness. You know what I'm saying? You see it all the time in all uh these different what do you call them? All these different vloggers. That's a good word for it. They're going
Yep,
all over to the
vloggers.
deep depths in the country in the South where the most
I'm gonna put the
racism
link in the
and slavery
chat.
happened,
Anybody want to come up and chop it up?
and you'd be surprised, man. People are like, certain, obviously there's still certain people who are stuck in the old way of thinking, but like there's a lot of people that like don't believe in that no more. New generations and the old the old generations are coming to terms with it, and the new generations definitely don't believe in that idealism
Yeah,
idealism of racism. Like people are over that, so it's like
the ideology. Yeah, I feel you.
ideology. Yeah, yeah, exactly. My bad.
Even the young white kids, they're like, "Fuck, I love the spoils of this shit," but
Exactly.
it's not it. You know? So, but that's the thing, A lot of these countries, they just want to be honorary white folks. You know what I'm saying? So the ones that you see that are lighter than the other ones, they're gonna side with the American imperialists. Because it's like that. They created a caste system a long time ago, so that's an underlying war that's been going on, been brewing. So when they say they want change, and they want America to bring democracy to their countries or whatever the case may be, those are people that are trying to buying their way into white supremacy, to
Hmm.
white society. You know what I mean? That's kind of whack to me still. I'm not saying some black folks don't do it too, or colored folk, but we have to examine it from a different perspective. Like, it's more ideologies and race, but then again, race trumps all of it. It's crazy. Listen to, I got a new. We gonna change the subject a little bit, you know what I'm saying, and get into the hip hop because this we can go around for days about this thing, but I feel like nobody's right, but everybody's scrambling for power. So Can you really blame Russia and China for going against the United States? Can you really blame them?
That's the question.
So we're gonna listen to this here Charlemagne versus Dame Dash situation. You know what I'm saying? Dame Dash got caught up with Jim Jones. Jim Jones said that Dame Dash wasn't a Harlem hustler, and he was just a store boy for Rich Porter, and you know what I'm saying. So, but Dave spoke on it, and he gave his take, and I think it was pretty insightful to say the least, because he knows that Jim Jones is only saying stuff to stay in the loop, you know. He knows he's clout chasing basically, but he gonna stay in the loop. So he responded back to Dame. I mean Jimmy. And here's how it went. Well, y'all, I'm just trying to find this take. Oh, there you go. There we go. Shout out to Urban Politics TV. This is what Jimmy said to Dame Dash.
The rap cat pride kid.
Game impact at Harlem was nothing. Not to say like that. Game came up under hustlers that impact was it. He was a little dude when it came to hustling in Harlem. He wasn't not no Rich Porter and that type. He wanted to hustle for Rich Porter. That Dame from the east side. We were the niggas on the east side different from the niggas on the west side. Now for the east side, Game was a big deal to us because we were little. He was coming from the west side, little car, jury, and all that. So when we were young, he's looking like Rich Porter, but in reality, you know, he was like this nigga go to the store, nigga, take a couple grams, get out of here.
The rap cat pride kid.
That Jim Jones did, and he said that you're not a boss, you're a worker. What do you have to say about that?
You know, someone called me about that.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I laughed.
Yeah, we on the Dame Dash situation now. Listen.
But I felt like Jim must have been
giving Alexa, value
to front on it.
Stop.
So I will.
Okay, so, you're invited. Go ahead.
Well, here's the thing. When I was 15-year-old, and I would guess their perspective, because he was a young man, I was big time to him. Because I was 15-year-old and I was doing things that most 15-year-olds weren't doing. And the people that he's rapping about in a lot of his records, like Rich Porter and Lou Sims, these are people I actually used to hustle with. Now, at 15, I'm not going to say I was a legend at hustling. I wasn't. I was 15. But the people that we were looking up to, by the time I got to their age, I had definitely made more money than them, and I was more impactful as it relates to culture, because it wasn't being known for selling drugs. I was never known for selling drugs. But what you won't do, you could ask Lou Sims if he ever sent me to the store, or ask anybody that you know that was in that world that ever sent me to the store. See, I never hustled with Jim, and I don't think he ever bought a car till it was with rap money. It was never a street thing. I knew him as Jomo, and it's not a bad thing. It was his name, and he was like an 8-year-old, like a younger kid running around with a clip-on tie, and he lived in 1199 at Dave's house. I guess whatever it was, he lived. So I never really knew him as, like, growing up. He was always a little kid.
Yeah.
But Camron brought him around, and I was like, why are you with Jomo?
And he was like, "What happened to this?" Well, he has a crib.
Yo, Camron Fredo.
But he's done what he's had to do.
Yo.
You know, he wasn't there to say that. But if he could say that, like Dookie, I used to hustle with Dookie. He was my lieutenant.
Not Dookie. Duke
the God is, we call Dookie Paul. Okay. Duke the God is with the Dipset. I used to hustle with him.
Okay.
You could ask him if he ever seen someone send me to the store, but I was always known in the position as somewhat of a boss. And all I did was pass the plug to them. They were like, they always looked up to me at that time. But I was never big time as a drug dealer, but I did have a crew called the Best Out. And we were the youngest crew, and we were legendary. We was all getting money. Yeah. But again, I'm pretty impressed with who I am and who I was and the things I did. And the fact that the people rap about are the people that I actually hustle with and actually was able to go another direction. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like for him, he knows the algorithm.
Yeah.
And, you know, when you say Dame Dash, you go viral. And
I was going to ask you
I appreciate that was saying that
a reason for
so that he could, so that I could actually have a reason to talk about who I was and tell people to look under the hood. But if you know a 15, 16-year-old, and another thing is because I used to hang out uptown. So people from downtown, I'm from 1199, they weren't usually allowed to go uptown and hustle. And I was on one of the wildest blocks on the, you know, at the time in Harlem. So I got to make it out of a real circumstance. I didn't wait to get the rap to start to get money. I didn't wait to get the rap to start being tough. None of those things. And, you know, you can look under the hood. So I appreciate him bringing it up.
So
and you can, to the extent that I made my paid in full OG stories, it's about my friends. The people, like, again, y'all making records about Rich, but he really did hit us with work. I was there. If he wasn't there, it's hard to talk about it. To be obsessed and infatuated in such a way that you think to be a person and to go to jail, get killed, and be famous for it for a very short run, that's not what I wanted to be known for. But if you can find somebody that sent me to the store, I'd like to know.
Yo, the spokesman, man, we back. Another edition of Urban Politicians TV.
That's a big ant, the spokesman. I'm sure he's going to have a good take on this.
This is unexpected. Dame Dash responded to what Jim Jones had to say the other day on the No Rap Cap podcast. And I had a link in the description where you can watch both of these clips from the beginning in full. And from out of New Orleans, the No Rap Cap podcast is everything got kicked off on there. We see today it turned into a lot because of Cam heard what he said about him. Then turned into a back and forth. 50 Cent jumped in. You know, he looking for the capital C's to always get involved in. But Dame Dash, as I expected a response, but he came very different than I thought, bro. And I liked this response from Dame Dash on the POV show, and it's on the American News Network, which is Dame Dash YouTube channel. And y'all know I'm a fan of that era, so I liked it to just hear these stories. And Dave told it very well right there. And it was entertaining too, because Dave, he gonna pop it like he popping it. He had a clip on top. Hey, bro, I didn't put up a clip on top before. I got to keep it all the way under as a kid, but just to hear somebody say that, like that, but you know, bro, as I said in the other videos, who gonna fit anybody from the street or just anyway when you belittling somebody? Because people go through phases in the streets or just hustling outside. You might not even be an illegal activity person, but sometimes people just have their little homies around, their little brothers. Hey, run to the stove for me, dog. And it'd be like an older dude might be telling the dude like 5 or 6 years younger, who might be, you might be 17, you might tell your little 12-year-old nephew or cousin or little partner that stay by you, hey, run to the stove for us, bro. Something like that. That do be happening, but it's different when y'all the same age and it goes on and things like that. But when Jim Jones said that, he most definitely was talking down on Dame Dash right there. But hearing Dame Dash's perspective on it, I most definitely loved it and respected it right there. There's all these guys used to run together and hear Duke the God right there, you know, get his name being mentioned. I used to ride around to the More Than Musics, man. I remember Cam had that one verse, I remember Duke the God. He was stupid hard. But I used to really ride to the More Than Musics, me, my boy D, all the guys. We used to really be sliding around with, or just really even in school as well. Like coming up, we was on all that Dipset stuff. So
just hearing this and then watching the movies, hearing more of the storyline, how Dame was connected, most definitely was a real thing. And I'll say this for Dame, bro, you can't downplay what Dame brought to hip hop, bro. As Dame, and I got another video coming on him with him as well with the Charlamagne stuff, because that was entertaining. His Dame would say something solid, all the way 1,000, all the way just on point, as I like what he said right here. But then he goes and says that, hey, everybody's against me. I'm gonna break that down in the other video with him and Charlamagne if I get a chance to do it. But seeing what Dame brought to this, bro, I gotta respect it, dog. Like watching them backstage DVDs as a kid, watching Dipset come to Rockefeller, watching State Property, watching Kanye, the chain today, just everything that Rockefeller presented, knowing Dave had something to do with it or some type of creativity or mindset or something going on with all of that, even the Rockefeller clothes. Like, I got respect for what Dame did in this culture, bro. You can't downplay him. And I like what he said right there, full, dog. It's just saying you can't find nobody there to say they sent me to the store. You understand? You won't find that going on with me. Like, I was from that block. I was on one of them wild blocks. Nobody never sent me to the store. Ask Duke the guard. Ask what's the call. Ask him. They'll tell you, ain't nobody sent me to the store. So he said, Jim threw me an alley-oop to basically stun on you and pop it on you. Thank you. You want to go viral? Say my name. But I ain't gonna lie, bro. It was dope when they was all together, bro. I'm a big fan. I'm always covering this story. That's my era. I just bought so much Rockefeller, so many Rockefeller CDs and Dipset. Everything that came out at that time, that's when I was going to the store, bro. I was gonna find a way to buy some CDs or magazines or read or DVDs. So anytime.
So you see what I'm talking about? Jim is a hater. But Charlamagne is even worse. Cause I ain't down in the nigga for thinking the way he thinks. Listen to this. You there?
Yes, sir.
So we did Dame versus Jim, right?
Yeah, man.
Well, now this is Dame going in on Charlamagne. Because you remember he had a interview at the Breakfast Club, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's
Charlamagne
kind of a
kept
weird.
downplaying. Yeah, yeah.
It's kind of weird because I don't see him doing that to any white
Executive. Right.
executives or anything like that when they go there, you know?
Yeah.
Downplaying what they have to say and everything like that. So it kind of felt to me that he was being paid to do
To
or to act like
challenge
that.
his
To be overly disrespectful, you know, towards
yeah,
Dave, you know,
and challenge
because
everything
he's
that
not.
he's doing or that he's talking about. Trying to
Yeah.
challenge him and belittle whatever it was.
So let's take a look at what this topic is all about, and then we'll break this down. I'm getting to pop at 50. Yeah,
Right
check it.
back.
The Breakfast Club will all now be streaming on Netflix. So looking back to when podcast first started, did any of you see this coming? No, it would be this big.
Can I say this?
Go ahead.
So I was doing what you consider a podcast now with it was Culture Vultures, Hip Hop Motivation with Kenyatta. And I was giving away the information, and I knew it was going to turn into an industry. I've had podcasts or the studios for podcasting for years. 4 years. And I actually offered iHeart Radio the same deal that Netflix offered 2 years ago. And I can show it to you. I know the CEO, that's why I also knew that they might be going bankrupt. But of course, the future of the industry is podcasting because what's happened now is Black people like AM radio. They never knew we like listening to people talk so much. And the visual podcast is an audio experience. It's not a video experience. But that's why if someone does like a show, Then they call it a podcast. It's not on the set. I'd be like, no, I mean, it's on the set, but it's a TV show. But yes, the voice of our culture need to be heard, and we do have the attention span to listen. And of course, the world is going to change, but I saw it change. And I'm going to show you what I sent them. And of course, for me, what I don't understand is how do they get paid if it's through the subscription? Are there going to be commercials? Is it going to be programmatic? So when you watch a podcast, because usually a podcast is paid based on engagement, and that's where the CPMs come in. So I'm curious if they're using programmatic, which is the technology that my network has, the new network. So I'm curious to know exactly what that means. But what you do notice, but you saw Charlamagne all of a sudden got that deal. Can you name someone that I have problems with that's not like corporately backed? It seems like as soon as someone's beefing with me, what you want? So they want 50. As soon as Fredo with the corporate, he started beefing. Before it was Jay, I think all of them. And I just think it's a humiliation ritual. It's a humiliation ritual. If you're going to get empowered by them, you got to go after me. And can you imagine if I ever was corporately told what to do? The trophy that would be for them? You would never want to see them dangling like a trophy. But the thing about what I didn't like, and what's misleading about the Charlamagne situation is called Black. What's it called? Black. It's owned by white people. So what usually happens? You use someone black to go get all the talent from all the black people, allegedly. It's powered by somebody white. They get all the data. And that's the reason why he's the face for them to.
All right, so he's on the Point of View podcast. There's more. I'm playing more than I'm gonna get to Charlamagne, the guy. But some of the stuff he's saying is correct, and I'll go over it categorically once I stop playing. Once again, this is by way of the Point of View show. Shouldn't call it podcast.
Y'all want to come chop it up to the on the Matt Menzel show? Pull up, pull up. The link is in the chat right there. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. And we out here.
If you notice, from Jay on down, even though we don't talk about everybody around them, for some reason they're always backed and patted on the back by corporate. And tell me one person that's not. So if you getting patted on the back for being a good boy, Charlamagne, Jay, what's now Camron or Fredo, or is
he called Camron Fredo.
All of a sudden, y'all get
so funny.
Is that an algorithm coincidence? But it may be arrogant, but I do feel they're like, yo, can you get rid of the name?
I don't think it's arrogant.
Get rid of the name? Okay, exclude the everything.
All right, so them Harlem dudes, man. Woo! All right, let's hear what Charlamagne said, man, and then we're gonna get into that. I think this was actually a good response by Charlamagne, and I agree with both of them and with some of their points. Hey, we're midway through the video. Make sure you guys hit the like button on the video, leave a thumb up on the video. And again, if you want to advertise on the channel, you see it right there below. OGOD@hiphopyo.com. Let's hear Charl.
When with them. Oh, because sadly, there's a little amongst us who is not in his name. It's Dame Dash. Okay, last night Dame Dash appeared on the Point of View show on Afro TV, and they were discussing the Breakfast Club coming to Netflix, and they need to sign with. He had this to say. Let's listen. So I was going. He's a textbook narcissist, and narcissists consistently make everything about themselves because they have an inflated sense of self-importance and a constant need for attention and validation. Dame, listen. You really think people will sit around and call the board plotting on ways to stop you? Nobody has to do that because Dame Dash's biggest obstacle will always be Dame Dash. Okay, nobody gets in Dame Dash's way more than Dame. Dame, I'm gonna promise you something right here, right now. I'm not talking about you no more. Okay, ever. All right, because I don't want to feed your ego, and when I talk about shedding, that's something I want us all to do in 2026. Don't feed people's wounded egos. Okay, stop giving excess validation and attention to people with an inflated sense of self-importance. Their ego thrives on it. Okay, that's where those manipulative, arrogant, and insecure behaviors like Dame Dash have come from. Okay, I don't want Dame Dash, aka Boss Baby, throwing any tantrums because of me. Okay, so that is something I will be shed. right, while we are still in the year of the snake. I also don't understand brothers like Dave, because Dave, you got all the money in corporate America back in the day. Okay, when it was your turn, you got checks from Def Jam, you had Rockaway, you had Armadale Vodka, you had Pro Kegs, you had the Rock Rock, you had all kinds of stuff. How come when you ain't getting your money from corporate America, it was all good? Every black man after you get it through some type of nefarious means and getting it because they come and cheap. So if we get sued based off your logic, the only reason you were getting paid back in the day doing some DS, I just don't understand the logic. Okay? And when you had Rockefeller and you was partnered with artists, okay, just like I'm partnered with Project on Black Spec, and you was partnered with Def Jam and Universal, weren't you partnered with white folks? But you saw the logic doesn't even add up. But I think it's cool when you do it with other black men. But I will say this thing. If you believe that people are rewarded because they go back and forth with you, issue with you, then you need to get with some other brothers back with corporate and stage some beats, okay? So they can get paid and then give you a kickback. In fact, for everyone who believes this nonsense, because there are some people out here who believe this, they'll believe this bullshit that Dame Dash is spewing. What is the tip? Okay, go to Dame Dash's Instagram. All right, let's have a little technique. Let's stop the soliloquy here. Look, first and foremost, right? Let's go back to what Dame was saying about, I don't like when we or us or people try to throw the race thing in there to the point where it's like we see us in this culture, in this hip hop culture, we use the race thing as convenient for us, right? That's the part I don't like about what Dame Dash was doing. Like, okay, white people, they're like, we already know what it is, dog. We know whose platforms be on. We know who's giving out the bag. It is what it is. I think it goes totally deeper, than that. Obviously, it's just like we use this blackity black stuff to our advantage. But when it's really time to stand on it, we fold. Let's go back to the hip hop motivator movement, right? And shout out to Kenyatta Griggs. He's always been a shout out. And shout out to Dame as well. You had them both on the show, right? But during the hip hop motivator movement, it was powerful. And we were around back then. There were a lot of people that were around back then, that are not around now. So Dame is right in that regard. But when Dame was going at the so-called people and going at the culture vultures and going at these people, he apologized. And that apology was so detrimental to the movement at the time because the movement, see, I'm not somebody who's speaking that's outside. I've been here for this. I was not only front seat, I was in the ring. Me and Sam Matt was in the ring when this shit went down. There's probably videos of us speaking about this. The culture vulture movement had so much momentum back then. I mean, it was the strongest thing going. And then one day out of the blue, even the hip hop motivator was growing. It would have been at over 1 million subscribers right now. He would have had his network. But as soon as he was in that room and he apologized, it came tumbling down like a ton of bricks. We never knew why he did it. Maybe he was threatened, maybe he was coerced. I don't know. But after then, you never kind of seen Dame and Kenyatta Griggs together again. Again, I don't know the personal inner workings of that. If I'm not mistaken, we may have even asked Dame that. It's been a few years now about what happened. But nevertheless, though, let's not use the blackity black thing when it's convenient for us, right? Let's not do that. I'm not really rocking that, right? But here's what I will say about what Charlamagne is saying. I had the same thought that Charlamagne had. But I'm like, okay, Dame, now we're picking and choosing. Right? And Dame is a little arrogant here, thinking that everybody's trying to stop him. Now, ultimately, we was all right with Dame Dash. Call out the culture mode. We was with him. But he went back on his own words. So we all had to fall back and say, all right, that's just dead. Ain't no more culture vulture movement. Because if you're going to sit down with the culture vulture for a $500 haircut, you're going to go sit down with these people now. So, on some Lord Jamar type shit. Don't mess with them, they this, they that. 4-year-old white wasn't that bad. That's what we at with Dame. Charlemagne, I had the same thoughts as Charlemagne when you're like, okay, black effect got white people behind it. Okay, whatever. We get the deal. Who gives a damn? But Charlemagne showed that look, you was doing your thing, you had white people behind you. That's it. Like that's one thing. What did you do with your platform, dog? When you had your platform. Look at the people you pushed towards the mainstream. Now, given you were young then, and you deserve autonomy and time and space to grow, Dame. We all deserve that. But it's hard for the people to get behind it when you're fickle, when you don't stand on nothing, Dame. You got to stand on something. You're going to get all the black talent, blah, 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 whatever. Like, okay. He presented the same deal. Look, this industry is what it is, yo. Ain't nobody kicking down your door. No blacks is kicking down your door to give you no bread like that. People are going to go get the bread where they can get it. If somebody come with a deal, they're going to take the deal. I don't care if they're blue, black, pink, or purple. And what you do with your platform, in my opinion, is more important. The money's going to come from where the money's going to come from. We are at a disadvantage when it comes to financial institution. So it's going to come from where it's going to come from. The question is it going to come with strings attached? Are they going to really bring people on a network? And I said, he can do whatever you want with his network, yo. Charlemagne, out that. Do whatever you want, bring whoever you want on, right? But I'm saying that when people go to the race thing, it's bullshit and it's a crutch for them to further their agenda and for them to kind of use it when it's convenient for them. But when it's time to get a bag, I'm going on TMZ. I'm going on this platform. I'm going on that platform. When the bag is big. So at the end of the day, throw it out the window. It's about money, fame, notoriety, and attention. I'm going to tell you guys right now, throw the race shit away. Those are just talking points. It's about money, fame, and attention. Money, fame, attention, notoriety. That's what it's about in this industry. Clicks, engagement. The race don't mean nothing. People start throwing that shit out there. Leave it. Leave it be. Don't mean nothing. It's just a talking point. That's why I stand with the whole thing. I'm not good to Dame Dash and stuff, but whatever, right? Whatever. You make mistakes. We all make mistakes as businessmen. It is what it is. I'm not looking at Dame Dash no different than I looked at it before. It's just that when you have a movement and you apologize and you like Charlemagne was right. You are your own worst enemy. You killed your own movement. The powers that be didn't do it. Leon Cohen didn't do it. White folks didn't do it. You did it. Hip Hop Motivator was one of the most powerful platforms in the universe. The steam they were picking up, they had Nipsey behind, they had everybody behind. The whole industry was getting behind that culture vulture. We're not messing with this, we're not messing with that. You apologized and killed all of the steam. So yes, at a point in time, Dame Dash was vital to the culture. Dame Dash was the guy that rose from the muck and the mire and said, I've been there, I've been around the snakes and the vultures. This is how we gonna move. We got behind you. We got behind you with our platform. I was fine. One day, he said, nah, man, fall back on your word. And we made a video about it. And we said, damn, Dame, we had something with that. We had, y'all, Hip Hop Motivator had something. And can y'all, you notice, y'all had something powerful, big. Y'all didn't need iHeart. Y'all didn't need Charlemagne at that time. Y'all were going to do it independently. Oh my. But the platform called, they're going to give you $5 for an interview or $500 for an interview. You drop your morals and you go over there. The money ain't coming fast enough. This person want to give you $10K for an interview. All right, man, after that hip hop motivator shit, after culture vulture shit, let me get that bag. Oh, I'm giving you this for an interview. I'm going to get that bag. I'm just talking to him, right? Come on, dog. We know what it is. We know what it is. Oh, you gonna do this for me? Oh shit, fuck, we going. So I'm this black. I don't want to do nothing because we got the power. We got the celebrities, the people with the notoriety. You got the power to say, all right, I'm gonna rock with so and so's platform and so and so's people to help them build up. F the other guys. I'm gonna help these guys. Whoever you may choose to pick. Whoever's for the people. Whoever's grassroots. Whoever's the voice of the people.
I don't know about this guy, man.
I'm going mainstream. F that.
Every time he talks, he blinks. You know those people? Every time they talk, they blink. They say a few sentences, they go like this. You know those type of people? All I'm saying is he's right and he's wrong. You know what I'm saying? Legit. You? Yeah, he's right and he's wrong. Because when he apologizes, like, yeah, I apologize because I didn't know you guys didn't have the same morals and principles as me. But I ain't mad no more. Whatever. It's in the past. I mean, he wanted to move forward. He didn't apologize strictly to Leo. He apologized to Jay-Z too because he wants to work with Jay. So it's kind of, you know, it's kind of, he's not really explaining it the whole way, you know, because who speaks out more than Dame Dash about certain situations concerning black people in the industry? I mean, Jay-Z is cool. He's a billionaire, but I'll never see him speaking out other than what? What did he speak out of? Old Kaepernick shit? But he don't speak out on no, like, serious issues that involve black people. So it's crazy. It's crazy to me for them to think that we give a damn about folks that got a whole bunch of money, but ain't keeping it thorough in the barrel. You know what I'm saying? And I ain't saying money don't talk. Money talks still, you know? Jay's a billionaire, so he has a lot of influence. So he could at least speak up a little bit more. Because all I'm saying is when he was with Dame Dash, he was more of a writer for the people. And he was rapping like that. He was rapping about being a boss, but overcharging the industry, you know? Going against the grain. But I guess when you're a part of the grain now, you don't want to go against it, eh? See, yo, check this one out. This last little piece. Got Papoose versus 50 Cent. Yeah, I remember when Papoose put out that verse. Y'all was like, yeah, 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 that shit was whack, blah, blah, blah.
What up, guys? Your boy Quake and 50.
Well, I remember a snippet. There was a snippet he put out. Let's see. Let's see.
People who don't know hip hop, they gonna say this beat sounds dated. But they don't know the shit that we had to go through to make it. They don't know timeless music is forever gonna be dangerous. While only one hit wonders come and go cause they lifeless. Studio therapy wasn't nothing to play with. They don't know how many hours we spent down in that basement. Saying others make it out, so now we celebrated. Knew they wasn't coming back, but us still had to be patient. Trying to roll that price. Kept rolling easy. You roll the dice. Everybody think you.
Now, Pop put that down, right? And 50 said, oh, that shit was whack, blah, blah, blah. But Pac dropped that December 12th. So he thought that was it was a real this. This is what Pop said. 50 said, what the fuck? I can't get jiggy with this. Y'all trash. Make one song that can sell and I'll come play it. Y'all still trying to make music, right? And Papoose responded. And Papoose responded. He paranoid. Look at him responding to a video originally posted December 5th. He started his fake beef January 1st. Got him. A song that could sell. This is real hip hop, something you know nothing about. When was the last time? Damn, you been outside, Curtis.
Waiting around. And typically, when people post up clips of the artist's music, I am always and they say, "Oh, this is a response to somebody. This is this to somebody." I'm always skeptical. I'm like, how do we know that this is a song is actually about that person, right? Um, I remember before Jim, Fad, Mano, and Dave East did their 50 Cent response songs, the Squad was freestyle. There was a clip of a Jim Jones song that got posted up, and people were saying, "Oh, Jim Jones, this is 50." And I'm like, what bar in this did he diss 50? How do we even know that he recorded this after him and 50 started going back and forth? So this is the same case with this. When I first heard this clip, I heard him say the word wankster. So then I thought, okay, maybe he is going at 50, but he didn't say nothing towards 50. Like he just used the word wankster, but I don't know if this is actually a legit diss or what. So you got 50 Cent who shared this, and he says, what the F? I can't get jiggy with this. Y'all trash. Make one song that can sell, and I'll come play. Y'all still trying to sell music, right? And Pat was saying, look at him responding to a video I originally posted December 5th. He started this fake beat January 1st. Got him. A song that can sell. This real hip hop, something you know nothing about. When the last time you made a hit though, Curtis? Um, all right, Pat. Yeah, you got some nice songs. I don't know if you ever had a hit. 50 done had hits. 50 done went diamond. Okay? You don't want to play the when's the last time game because when have you ever had a diamond record? When have you ever had the level of hits that 50 had? You should have just kept it to the bar. You couldn't even ask that last question. Let's keep it to the bars. Bar for bar, I think it'd be a decent battle. But what they need to do is they need to get me to ghostwrite for both of them. Because I'm the greatest rapper on planet Earth. So you already know. I can destroy either one of them. But it's not about me. This isn't about me. This goes back to the question I asked before. Where's the bars? Where's the bars? I remember when 50 would have responded with bars. And y'all can say, oh, he's above that now. He's transcended into a billionaire. Well, if he's such a transcender into a billionaire, why is he online and posting up memes of Papoose and Clarissa unprovoked? I don't have no issue with him responding to people that start stuff with him. But why is he unprovokedly posting up stuff? Now you see him posting up clips of T.I., clowning T.I., the fake clip of T.I.'s comedy special where they edited out the audience noise, because you can do that with AI now. And Fifth is like, damn, is it that bad? What happened? You know what I'm saying? Like, don't hit me with that. Oh, he's above that. If he's so above that, he wouldn't have even started the thing in the first place. So what I need Pap to do is actually drop an actual song on going that 50. If you going, if y'all gonna go back and forth, and 50 trying to say squash it with the rest of it, but if y'all gonna go back and forth, do it for real. Do it for the culture. Do
Yeah,
it
yeah, 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 yeah.
please, for my regard, for everybody's regard.
Yeah.
Okay. And Fifth, if you don't want
Fifth
to
is
do
full of
something,
shit.
come holler at me.
But Pop got him though, cause he posted an old snippet of a song, and 50 jumped out quick, like he was paranoid. This is what y'all got, and then he just posted the other day that he'll only respond to Fabulous and Papoose if they make a track like Wangster that sold as much. Like, come on, bro. It's some bullshit, and we ain't going for it. It's hip hop. If it's either rap, let's get the ass out of hip hop. And don't comment on nothing hip hop. Nobody in the game, because at the end of the day, I think Pop could get him. I think Fab could get him, and I know Ti could get him. So you're gonna see what's really good with all this, man. It's your boy Mac Mizzle, and I'm signing on. I know my homie WI is probably knocked out. It's late at night, but we did what it did, and do what it do. And y'all know my slogan: keep it real in the field, forget how they feel. Peace in the Middle East.